To start talking about something different. In this module, you'll learn about parallel structure. You may not know what that is, but watch the video lecture and do all of the activities, and then you'll understand how to use parallel structure in your writing.
This lesson is about using parallel structure. You may remember hearing parallel structure in your math class when you talked about shapes and lines, but that's not what we're talking about here. In English, you can think of parallel as meaning balanced, like in the picture of the scale on the right. This scale is balanced. In English, we make parallel structure in our sentences. We make parallel structure by using the same grammar forms, or grammar structures. In the first example here, he loves to swim and sleep. Swim and sleep are both verbs. It's important that they're both verbs because we have this conjunction and joining them. On both sides of the conjunction, we need to have the same form. In the next example, cake and cookies are both nouns, and that's important because they're joined by the conjunction and. In the last example, we have 3 adjectives. It's important that they're all adjectives because they're also joined with and. Here are some of the connectors that need to have parallel structure. And we already looked at, we saw that whatever is on either side of and needs to be the same form. The same is true for but. Whatever is in front of it and after it needs to be the same grammatical structure. We also have both and. With this structure, whatever goes after both must be the same structure as what goes after and. The same thing is true with not only, but also. With this connector, you need to have the same grammatical structure in both of the blanks. Look at this example. I was looking for an apartment that was both close to my work and easy to afford. We have the 2 connectors, both and. So whatever follows those 2 words has to be the same structure. And we have close to my work and easy to afford. Both of those are adjective phrases, so they are the same structure. So this sentence has parallel structure. Let's look at an example that does not have parallel structure. I want to find a gym that is not only close to my apartment, but also I want to find a cheap one. We have the connectors not only and but also. Remember that whatever follows those 2 connectors needs to be the same grammatical structure. Close to my apartment is an adjective phrase. I want to find a cheap one is an independent clause. So those are not the same structure. If our sentence doesn't have parallel structure, then we have to fix it. Here's one way that we could fix it. Just change that independent clause to an adjective. Now, close to my apartment and affordable are both adjective phrases, and we have parallel structure. Let's try correcting one more. This one is also not parallel. Can you see why? We have this structure, something but not something else. Those 2 structures need to be the same form. But before but, we have being alone. We have a gerund. After but, we have not to die, which is an infinitive. Gerunds and infinitives are not the same forms. We can correct this sentence by changing it. So we could say, he is afraid of being alone, but not dying. Now this sentence has parallel structure.
This lesson is about sentence variety. Sentence variety means using different kinds of sentences. The first way we can do this is by the type of sentence. English has 4 types of sentence. We have a simple sentence which has a subject and a verb. The grass grows in spring has one subject, the grass, and the verb grows. Now we can have compound subjects and compound verbs, and those are still simple sentences. Even if I have 2 things here, the grass and the trees grow in spring, is still a simple sentence because it's just a compound subject, the grass and the trees. The second type of sentence is a compound sentence, and a compound sentence joins 2 simple sentences together. Grass grows in spring, but it dies in winter. It dies in winter is a simple sentence, and grass grows in spring is a simple sentence, and we joined those with a connector called a conjunction. But is a conjunction. You might have heard of fanboys. Fanboys are conjunctions. We can talk about those in the forum if you don't know what that is. The third type of sentence is complex. Complex sentences have at least one independent clause or one simple sentence and at least one dependent clause. A dependent clause is not a simple sentence. So look at the independent clause first. Grass doesn't grow in winter has a subject and a verb, just like our simple sentence up here. But the dependent clause starts with a connector because, and when we have this connector, this cannot be a sentence by itself. I cannot say because it is too cold. That's not a complete sentence. A dependent clause needs to have an independent clause attached to it. So if my dependent clause comes before the independent clause, we put a comma here. But I can also put the dependent clause after the independent clause, and we don't use a comma that way. The fourth type of sentence is compound complex. Compound complex means that it is both compound. That means it has 2 independent clauses, and it's complex, so it also has a dependent clause. In this sentence, we start with the dependent clause, and then we have 2 independent clauses. So right there we have 4 different kinds of sentences. You need to mix these types in your writing.